we live on a planet that seems to have the just right abundance of molybdenum
Right.
in its crust. And so we have very few incidences of molybdenum poisoning and very few incidences where people don't have, the
Right.
vast majority of the
Right.
population has precisely the amount of molybdenum
Yeah.
that they need in their bodies.
Yeah.
So just an argument for design.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating. Well, and then to even extend it, the argument, and I've heard you make this point before, it's not just simply that, that we have the enrichment of elements in the Earth's crust that make life possible, but it's also it makes advanced civilization possible. So it seems to me like with molybdenum, you could actually make both types of fine-tuning arguments,
Right.
not only for life, but for
Yeah, the
for
industrial applications are
yeah,
important. We wouldn't have the advanced civilization we
right,
have if we didn't have the amount of molybdenum. So the fact that we live on a molybdenum-rich planet
yeah.
really helps explain our high technology civilization.
I've not done any of this work, but as I'm here listening to you talking, it seems to me that this is an opportunity to develop kind of a prediction, a scientific prediction that we could test. And it would be interesting to, I don't know much about molybdenum and its role in biochemical systems, but it'd be interesting to find out what is special about that metal when it's incorporated into enzymes as a cofactor that makes it so useful. And I would predict that you're going to find that molybdenum has these just right properties that you can't replace, that there's not alternatives to the molybdenum enzymes. And so that
You're exactly right. It's the only element in the periodic table that binds with oxygen in such a way as to form a particular geometric pattern that allows certain proteins allows certain proteins to function.
yeah,
So if people go in the Wikipedia article on molybdenum,
yeah,
they'll actually see this incredibly complex
yeah,
three-dimensional structure that's crucial for these cofactor enzymes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I mean that would extend the argument, right? That where you would say that not only is so in other words, it's not simply that life is adapting to what's available, right? And creating molybdenum enzymes because that molybdenum is available, but rather if molybdenum wasn't available, there's a certain range of biochemical functionality that wouldn't exist that makes life possible. So,
Right.
you
You'd be
know,
missing certain proteins, and without those proteins, no life is possible anytime, anywhere in the universe.
yeah.
You got to have molybdenum.
Well, and it may seem like a subtle point, but I think it's really important because you hear skeptics oftentimes say, "Well, it's just like the water that finds itself in a
In a puddle.
in a puddle," saying, "Isn't it amazing how ideally shaped the puddle is, for me, right?" And so the idea here, to take that objection and then talk about it in terms of evolutionary theory, you would say, well, life again is just evolving based on what's available in the environment. But I think really what is behind the anthropic principle is the fact that we live in a universe where concave surfaces are even possible,
Right.
right? That if things were even slightly different, we'd be in a universe where only flat surfaces or convex surfaces are possible, not concave surfaces. And I think that's really the point here, right? Is that it's a necessary component for life and life simply wouldn't be possible without it.
Yeah, and that's true of virtually every element in the periodic table. I mean, the reason I made the table an improbable planet is like when you look at the periodic table, virtually every element there is anomalous with respect to the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth is either super abundant in the element or super underabundant. And that underabundance or overabundance is exactly what life needs.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to, that's one argument why we shouldn't expect life to be on all the planets in the universe, is that those planets aren't going to have the right abundance ratios of the periodic table elements.
Yeah.